Hi, my name is Jeff Wheeler. I'm with Nexthermal Corporation. I'm here to talk about the Nextflex heater and the proper way of selecting and installing it into a manifold. What we have on the table here is a Nextflex staking tool. This is used to seat it into the groove once it's been formed in. We have the nylon-faced soft blow hammer that we use to press it into the slot. We have a forming tool that we use to execute around complex geometries like tight radiuses. We have the manifold here. This is a very simple manifold to demonstrate with, and we also have an extension cord that we use for finding the center line of the groove. Obviously in this design that's going to be fairly simple, but for practice I'll show you how to do it in more complex installations. A word to note about the Nextflex heater: the way the part numbers are arranged, the first is the diameter, so ADR is 8mm diameter, and it's a round profile. We also do have square profiles as well. The next is the overall length of the heater. So what we're measuring here is the heated length. The heated length is shorter than the overall length. So in this case, I've already determined what the length needs to be, but we'd want to pick that part number according to the overall length. So the first step is going to be to measure the manifold, to measure the lengths. It's important to note that when you're installing the Nextflex heater, every radius is going to cause the heater to stretch during installation. The straight sections will not be stretching, but every time we bend around a radius, it will stretch. For that reason, we start with a little bit shorter of a heater and allow it to grow during the installation. It's very important that these last marks here, which are the unheated sections, do not extend beyond the manifold. They should be within or equal with the end of the manifold. If they extend out, that means your heated zone is also sticking outside the manifold, and that can cause product failure. So the first thing I want to do is determine length, and for that, our brochure, our website has specific instructions on how to add up all these geometries to get to a correct starting length. Second step is going to be to find the center of the groove. So I'm going to take a standard issue extension cord, start at one end, following all my radiuses as best as I can. I'm going to take a Sharpie, I'm going to mark the end point. Okay, there's my groove length. I take my extension cord, I measure it out to my line, which is here. It says it's 630 millimeters. I'm going to take a measure out my 315. Make my mark. Fold it back in again to my mark. And as you can see, my mark ends up right on center. So I'm going to mark my center location on the manifold. This is important because when we first install the heater, we want to start from the center line and work our way out to the end sections. If you start from one end and go all the way around, it'll grow unevenly, and this end will be longer than this end. So it is always start from a point of symmetry.
So it has a mark on it. So what I'm going to do is basically take and line this up just like this. Take my staking tool, get a stake down in there so I can bend it around the radiuses. Okay, start off on one side. Want to gradually hit it down where we're basically hitting on the sides right here and cutting anything open. Then you want to make sure that your Nextflex is directly over the center of the groove. So if you get to the point where you cannot bend it by hand, you can also use the tool. And I want to overbend it so that way you can get the radius to sit down inside there. So you want to make sure that, see how it's kind of sitting back. Pull that up a little bit. Lightly hammer it. Once you get down to this point right here, and lightly bend. My bolt section is recessed inside a little bit. That is okay. We want to make sure that nothing from the inside where the heated section all is in this area right here is sticking out past this groove. So once I get done with that side, go on to the other side. So here you don't want to hit too hard because you go around these sharp edges and stuff, and if you get straight down, if it's not directly lined in the center, it will rip the side edges. So then once you get it down the side there, then you can hit a little bit harder. And around that radius. Like I said, get everything lined back up over. Once again, you can use your bending tool. Get around these sharp edges. It is a little bit harder to bend with our fingers. So I'm hitting at an angle this way because this was sitting back over here. So if I hit straight down, it would break into these side edge walls and rip the Nextflex off. Now that I got everything basically pressed down the side there, I can take my staking tool and go around. And you got the radius of the staking tool right here. You want to make sure it's sitting right on top of the Nextflex just properly. Take it down. You can see the difference between this area right here, which is sitting almost flush with the top of the manifold, and this side where you press down inside the manifold and it's recessed down inside. All right, going all the way around it now. We can obviously see it leaves a little bit of a dimple mark inside on the outside edges. And from the radius tool, pounding it in. So now that's all the way pressed down inside, you're ready to heat.
So now that we've concluded this installation, as an example, obviously you're probably going to be faced with more complex designs than this manifold presented. By all means, feel free to reach out to Nexthermal through your sales engineer. We can help define what heater is the correct application for that particular manifold and assist you with any questions you may have on installation.